Okay, I'm going to explain the effect of a tax, and specifically I want to explain who bears the burden of the tax, because I forgot to do it in the last video. The consumer or the producer. Okay, so as we saw in the last video, a sales tax or an excise tax will shift the supply curve in from S1 to S2, causing the price of the good to rise from P star to P sub C. So P star would be the equilibrium price without the tax. P sub C is the price that the consumer has to pay after the tax. So when you go and you buy your rice, it's the amount of money you hand the sales clerk. Okay? Or when the store buys its rice from a farmer, it's the amount of money it gives to the farmer. Okay? So that's the price that the consumer has to pay. Now, after the consumer pays the business, say it's a $2 tax per unit, and this is $5. The consumer pays $5 to $2 tax, and so the firm sends $2 off to the government. The firm is left with what? $3. That would be this, P sub F. Let's call that the price that the firm receives. Okay, so F for firm. If it's a $2 tax, then the firm receives $3. Let's just say this was the equilibrium price was 4. So as you can see now, both consumers and producers have a burden, right? The consumer pays more, $5, than he did before, $4, and the producer receives less, $3, than he did before, $4. Okay, so both the consumer and the producer bear some burden of the tax. They pay some of that $2. How much of the $2 they pay will depend on the elasticity of supply and the elasticity of demand. Okay? Now, in this case, the supply curve shifts in, okay, and you can see that formerly consumers had to pay $4, now they pay $5, and so their burden is, in this case, 1 times the quantity sold, whatever Q2 is, so 1 times Q2, or this rectangle. Okay, for producers, they had received 4, now they receive 3. So these should actually be equal, right? So producers actually pay, as their portion of the tax, 1 times Q2, this box. That's the producer burden. Okay? The two together, when you add the two together, it gives you what? Those two boxes together are your government revenue. Okay? So that's, in this case, 2 times the number of units sold. 2, the per unit tax, $2, times the number of units sold, gives you your government revenue. This is the portion of the revenue that consumers pay, and this is the portion of the revenue that producers bear. Okay? Producer surplus in this case will now have been reduced to what? This area, right? And producer surplus will have been reduced to this area. So as you can see, the tax reduces both consumer surplus and producer surplus, causing a deadweight loss here. But this is not considered a net burden to society because the government goes off and presumably does beneficial things for society with that revenue. Like do what? Like build bridges to nowhere. No, like to build bridges, build roads, build schools and hospitals and so forth and so on. And so we assume that this is just a transfer from sort of individual consumption to public consumption, if you will. All right. So you can see that ultimately there is an inefficiency caused, and that inefficiency is borne by all of society. All the tax is borne, some by consumers and some by producers. And that's it. That's a wrap.